Hi, I'm Lynn, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Coach, author, and personal survivor of narcissistic abuse. At Moving Forward with Hope, we provide guidance to assist to validate your experiences in dealing with a narcissist, help to rebuild after the treacherous path, and move forward into your next journey. Validate, rebuild, revolutionize. I've been personally exposed to narcissists in my family upbringing as well as relationally. The fog was lifted for me in 2016, and since that time, I've made it a mission of mine to help others recover from the devastating and confusing life hurdles that occur.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Moving Forward with Hope Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Podcast. I'm Lynn, and I'm thrilled to have you join me here today. If you're here, chances are you're on a journey to heal, to break free, and to reclaim your peace of mind after experiencing narcissistic abuse. I want you to know you're not alone. Together, we're moving forward with hope, with awareness, and with the strength to build healthier, more fulfilling lives. In today's episode, we're going to dive deep into a subject that many of you may be familiar with, but not always able to clearly recognize in your own experiences. The topic is tactics narcissists use to wreck your sanity. I'll be sharing 5 key tactics they commonly use to manipulate and control, drawing from my book, Master Manipulators. It's available on our website or on Amazon. Let's start by remembering this. Narcissists are masters of illusion. Their behavior is subtle in the beginning. It's like a slow boil that you don't notice until you're in too deep. But once their mask slips, the manipulation becomes clear. My goal is to give you the tools to spot these tactics early so you can protect yourself, or if you've already experienced them, to find validation and clarity in understanding what happened. The first tactic we're going to talk about is false apologies. Narcissists are masters at giving apologies that sound genuine, but are completely hollow. You might have heard the phrase like, "I'm sorry you feel that way," or "I'm sorry you think I did that." At first, these statements seem like an apology, but if you take a closer look, they're really placing the blame on you. A true apology takes responsibility for the wrongdoing. It's sincere, it acknowledges the hurt caused, and is followed by a change in behavior. A narcissist apology, however, is simply about ending the confrontation. They're not sorry for their actions, they're sorry you called them out. And instead of reflecting on their behavior, they deflect by making you feel like your emotions are the problem. Let's pause here for a moment. If you've ever experienced this, you know how disorienting this can be. You walk away from these interactions feeling unheard and maybe even guilty, as if you were wrong to feel hurt in the first place. This tactic is particularly harmful because over time it wears down your ability to trust your own feelings. You begin to wonder if you're too sensitive or overreacting. But the truth is, this is emotional manipulation. The narcissist wants to maintain control, and a false apology is their way of sweeping the issue under the rug without ever addressing the root cause. Next, let's talk about lack of validation. We all need to feel heard and understood, especially in close relationships. Validation doesn't mean the other person has to agree with everything you say, but it does mean they respect your feelings and acknowledge your perspective. In a healthy relationship, validation creates a space for open communication and connection. But with a narcissist, validation is rarely, if ever, given. You might express a concern, ask a question, or share something important, and what happens? They ignore you. Or worse, they pretend they didn't hear you, and they continue talking about themselves. This lack of validation is a subtle but powerful way to undermine your confidence. When you keep reaching out for connection and get nothing in return, it leaves you feeling unimportant, unseen, and unheard. The more this happens, the more you start to silence yourself. You stop expressing your needs because deep down, you've been conditioned to believe they won't be acknowledged anyway. And that's exactly what the narcissist wants: silence. They don't want to deal with your needs, concerns, or emotions. They want the focus to stay on them. By refusing to validate you, they control the narrative and keep you in a state of emotional isolation. This kind of an emotional manipulation erodes your self-esteem over time. You may even start doubting your own worth, thinking, if I can't get validation from this person, maybe I don't deserve it. But I'm here to tell you that's not true. You deserve to be heard, respected, and validated in every relationship. Next, forgetting special occasions. Let's talk about something that could be really hurtful, which is forgetting special occasions. Narcissists have a habit of downplaying or ignoring important dates like birthdays, anniversaries, or holidays. For most people, these moments are a chance to celebrate and to show appreciation. For narcissists, they're often seen as inconveniences or opportunities for control. When a narcissist forgets or neglects these occasions, it's not just an oversight. It's a calculated move. They know that these moments matter to you. But by forgetting them, they signal that your happiness, your special moments, and your needs are important. It's a way of minimizing your significance in the relationship. And even when they do acknowledge these on occasion, it's often in a dismissive or critical way. Maybe you go out of your way to plan something special, only to have them undermine your efforts with a comment like, "This isn't what I wanted," or "I don't see the point in celebrating." No matter what you do, it's never enough to please them. And this can leave you feeling inadequate or unappreciated. And over time, this behavior leads you to expect less from the narcissist. You might stop celebrating these moments altogether, convincing yourself that they aren't a big deal. But deep down, it hurts. And that's exactly the goal: to reduce your expectations, diminish your joy, and to keep the focus on them. The reality is, special occasions are a chance to feel valued and connected, and you deserve that. If a narcissist is withholding this from you, it's not because you're asking too much. It's because they are deliberately choosing to neglect your needs as a way of maintaining control and keeping the emotional power in the relationship tilted in their favor. The next one we're going to talk about is playing the victim. Now, let's talk about one of the most frustrating tactics: playing the victim. This one is a real mind bender because it is such a dramatic role reversal. Let's say you confront a narcissist about something they've done to hurt you. Instead of acknowledging the harm, they turn the conversation around and position themselves as the victim. Suddenly, they're the ones who are suffering. They tell you that you misunderstood, you overreacted, and they're the ones who are hurt by your accusations. In extreme cases, they'll even go as far as to tell others that you're the abuser while they play the part of the poor, innocent victim. This tactic works because it taps into your empathy. Most people, especially those who have been victims of narcissistic abuse, are compassionate and caring. The narcissist knows this and exploits it by making you feel sorry for them. They count on your kindness and your desire to resolve conflict to shift the blame away from them. This is gaslighting at its finest. They distort reality, making you question your own perception of events. You end up comforting them instead of holding them accountable, and the real issue never gets addressed. It's important to remember that their victimhood is an act, a way to avoid responsibility and manipulate the situation to their advantage. If you find yourself constantly feeling like you're the one who needs to apologize or make amends, even when you're the one hurt, it's time to take a step back and reassess the dynamic. Finally, let's talk about intimidation. This is perhaps one of the more overt tactics narcissists use, but it can still be subtle at times. Intimidation can come in the form of a raised voice, a threatening posture, or even a disapproving look. The goal is to make you feel afraid of confrontation, afraid of standing up for yourself, and ultimately afraid of them. This fear doesn't have to be physical. Emotional intimidation can be just as powerful. The narcissist may use their anger, disappointment, or even silence as a weapon to control you. You learn to walk on eggshells around them, constantly trying to avoid triggering their wrath. Over time, this fear-based control makes you lose your sense of self. You start altering your behavior to keep them happy or to avoid conflict, and this gives them even more power over you. But here's the truth. You don't have to live in fear. Recognizing this tactic is the first step in breaking free. Once you see this pattern, you can start to reclaim your power and set boundaries to protect your emotional and physical well-being. So there you have it. 5 powerful tactics narcissists use to wreck your sanity. By learning to recognize these behaviors, you take a first step toward protecting yourself. Remember, the goal of a narcissist is control. But once you see through their tactics, you can start to take control back in your life. If you're finding this podcast helpful, I encourage you to check out my book, Master Manipulators, Discover Covert Tactics Narcissists Devise to Manipulate, Deceive, and Control, where I dive even deeper into these topics. You can find it on our website, movingforwardafterabuse.com, or it's also available on Audible. And before we wrap it up today, if you've been enjoying this podcast, please take a moment and leave us a positive review. It helps others find us and supports the work we are doing to spread hope and healing. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, you deserve peace, respect, and to be heard. And until next time, this is Lynn. Keep moving forward with hope.